Welcome to the M3 Bearcast. My name is Malcolm Travers. In this episode, I speak with Jeff and EJ about musical influences, how our musical tastes have changed over the years, how music influences our emotions, and how we use it to relax and to reflect on our current situation in life. We also discuss the Mary J. Blige documentary, My Life, and recollect on how music has changed over time, especially after you've learned the stories behind the songs. So I hope that you'll stick through the podcast where you can learn more about becoming a part of the Male Media Mind community. But for now, here's my conversation with Jeff and EJ. I first started with a podcast I sent both of you from Spotify. It was called
Keynotes.
Mm-hmm.
Why music gives you your skin orgasm.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. So, yeah, the concept of it, I guess it was a neuroscientist who's also a music head who basically broke down why we have those feelings. I mean, as best as we can. So, what she said in the podcast was that our brains are wired to recognize patterns, and in that pattern recognition, it's almost like we get a little dopamine hit when we recognize a pattern. And the skin orgasms come from when the pattern changes or shifts up or down or dissonant in a way that is, I guess, pleasurable. So it's like it's giving us a little hit of dopamine or whatever. And if it has the right vibe to it, and it can be doing it in different ways. So she had examples of like sad songs, slow songs, fast songs. It was really interesting that you can turn anything into music if you just create a pattern. Your brain wants it. I was like, ooh.
So all music, essentially, as you just said, is repetition.
Yeah.
You essentially play keys and notes all over again. You know, keys, notes, chords. Whatever. And I can see where, like you said, because it does trigger, I think, for most people something analytical without most people realizing it.
Right. So in that mind state, then you can add on lyrics and set the mood with the, harmonies or dissonant harmonies or whatever to set a mood to really get you into it. So like if you're blocking it out and you put it on, it can put you in a mind state similar to like being in a trance, or even it can bring up memories and things like that. So that's where I wanted to start with. I didn't want to get too analytical. I kind of just wanted to talk about music that has given you those sort of feelings in the past. What are some of the earliest albums that you remember putting it on and it putting you into a different mind state and realizing the power of music?
EJ, you want to start?
Well, I mean, I can talk about the albums from the 70s, from the 80s, and from the 90s. Because, I'm
start from the earliest ones.
I'm just a little older. That's all.
Mine might be in the 90s. Yeah. So,
the first album that I can tell you that I ever received was from Rufus and Shaka Khan, and that was Master Jam. And even the young heads should know about Shaka. And
yes,
Shaka by now. So when you get a Shaka album, it's a real thing, and you discover this, and you listen to all of the records that she's singing on, and you go, this lady can just blow. And so this is before the Marys this is where the Marys came from, I would say.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that kind of influence you, because she gets into your soul. That's the way to put that. Yeah. So that was my first recognition that, hey, music is something else. And so that's when I started really, really, really listening to it. I've been a music all my life, but I would say the Rufus and Shaka Khan album that they did with Quincy Jones was just classic.
That was a classic.
So,
God, I mean, as I grew up with separated families, as I like to say. So, my mom, them being more, almost like I would look at it as even musically, my mom's family was more R&B and my dad's family was more pop. So I got a lot of just as much as like the Shaka Khans and Patti LaBelle's and those type of people. I also got a lot of like the Elton Johns and the Billy Joes and stuff. And I think for me, the thing was just always, like you said, it was the repetition, I think. Like you said, you would hear, like, even he just mentioned Shaka. Like, as a kid, I remember Every Woman by Shaka Khan as a prime example. Just that was the repetition of that hook. Like, you knew that. And even as a kid, I remember, you didn't think anything of it, just singing it. You sang it, it comes on the radio as a little boy singing I'm Every Woman, not thinking anything was wrong with it. Which is nothing wrong with it. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Music is universal, and like Janet, when she redid Tonight's the Night by Rod Stewart, she kept the gender, the female gender references, because she says, I sang this song with my father as a child, and as a child you don't change gender.
Yeah,
because
you don't
know.
You don't. You have no clue.
Yeah.
But but that was for me, like, my very first album. My very first album was an Earth, Wind and Fire album. Like, as a kid, even though that was during the time of Run DMC and like Salt and Pepper, and I loved what was becoming of rap music, but I was, as I was told, I guess, an old soul. But like, I remember sitting around with family, like at family functions and things, and just there was a certain music that was going on, and it was Shaka, it was Prince, it was Earth, Wind and Fire. It was, these things that, were very musically just like, ooh, this is interesting. And, and watching the emotion that people went through, listening to it. I can remember when my mom was sad, I knew, because she listened to Jennifer Holliday or Gladys Knight.
Or she listened to Reasons by Earth, Wind and Fire.
Right, or Reasons by Earth, Wind and Fire, or any of a number of things. And when they were happy, they danced to, Parliament P-Funk and Prince. And these different things, and realizing that, it didn't seem different to me. And as I got older, it wasn't until we get older that we kind of start to, get tainted, as I say, our innocence even gets violated musically. But we start to see that, well, everybody doesn't listen to hip hop, or everybody doesn't listen to R&B, or everybody doesn't listen to Elton John,
Right, exactly.
Yeah. When music becomes a status symbol or a indication of identity, or definitely. So I think one of my first ones was actually Earth, Wind and Fire. It was like a cassette. And thinking about that, I saw someone on social media who just went and bought a cassette tape player. I was just like, this is so funny.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. I was like, I had a cassette player. I remember I had to have foot surgery when I was a little kid, and I had like a Walkman, and I had the Earth, Wind and Fire cassette. And so we'd listen to it in the car, going to the hospital. And like the surgery I had to have in Atlanta. So I was coming from here to Atlanta, and then I kept it in the hospital. So that was like, that was one of mine. It was just, something that, but I think the first album that I bought with my own money was Thriller. I remember that.
Okay. I can see that.
Because I remember seeing the video. Like my brother, I was maybe 6 or 7 when the video came out. It was like 10, and I thought it was hilarious that he was actually frightened of the music video. And I was like, oh, this is hilarious. So at first I got it just to like creep him out, like the monologue.
That's what we do.
Then next thing I remember is we actually got it on a boom box. We would play it outside, and people would be doing like the Dead Man Shuffle outside.
The whole
yeah, that shit was hilarious. Like they had the whole neighborhood dancing. I was like, oh my god.
Exactly.
But there's just a lot. It's a lot of songs in there, like Billie Jean. When you think about that, that album just had so many classic songs on it.
Yeah.
But that was really great. But I don't know, when I think about it, the emotional connections to songs. So I was thinking about that, where have there been certain songs that you associate with certain events in your life that like now, even when you listen to it, bring back those events, or maybe songs that have been ruined by negative events?
I dated this guy who was a wonderful singer, and he If you remember the singer Tony Terry back in the day, he had that song "When I'm With You."
Yes,
he could sing that and sound just like it. And like we talked about a lot on our show, I realized even then he was a sociopath. Like this was a guy was much older than me that really had a thing for younger guys, and I didn't understand that. But I found out later, was quite manipulative. But like now to hear that song, I can't. I have to cut it off.
Right. Now, see, I'm gonna piggyback on that song because I was actually dating somebody when that song came out, and that was our theme song. And at least in my mind, he hated the song. He hated the song, but I liked it. I thought it was great. And he tells me we dated in 91, and he was like, "Yeah, no." I mean, that's what I associate with him, and I'm going to go visit him. So,
yeah.
Now that's hilarious. But I know for me, I can pinpoint certain points of my life by what I was listening to.
I got a lot of points, so I'm not going to try to go all over. But
But also music, I think for me, and I didn't realize until I got older, like, you know, like even growing up and going to church, that was gospel, you know. Like you said, you heard it on the radio. My mom had a ritual of getting up on Saturday mornings and cleaning up. And music was the only thing that was on. You know, the fish fries and the family reunions, but also the funerals and the breakups. Like my grandmother, I lost her in 2017, and she was a huge B.B. King fan. And because of that, we listened to a lot of even the blues. And as a young kid, a lot of kids weren't listening to B.B. King, but I was drawn to it. So now, like, you know, like when I think about my grandmother, I listened to The Thrill Is Gone by B.B. King, which people was like, oh, that's such a sad song. But it was happy for my grandmother. You know, that they sat around and they drank and they talked a lot of shit, you know, and they ate. But it reminds me of family. It makes me feel loved and wanted even in some ways. And when she passed away, like I gravitated back towards that because it was almost like that's how I grieved.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about that. I used to listen to a lot of very sad songs. I always wondered if that was, you know, therapeutic or like, am I indulging in this sadness? Like, because it definitely spoke to me. So I remember there was this band, this rock band, I think it was called Evanescence or something. It was very, it was very like hippie chick white music. I loved it though. I indulged it. It was always just like, you know, it was rock mixed with classical. It was kind of weird because I guess I had like a classical stint to me. We were talking like literally like opera music mixed with rock in some cases, and I would just like, it's so sad. It's just like, you know, No,
I enjoyed them. Like that huge hit they had, "Bring Me Back." I still play that. Like musically, I think it's one of the most amazing things, like creatively, I've ever heard. Like you said, it's rock, but it's classical, but it's pop. It was everything.
Yeah. I mean, it was really like emo, as I would say. It's very emo. But I wonder, like, what do you think about that? When you're in a sad place, are you indulging that sadness by listening to more sad music, or are you like realizing it? I don't know. Like, are you trying to understand the sadness? I don't know.
I'm trying to express myself through that music because I have tracks that are now they can be happy or they can be sad, and a lot of them lately have been on the melancholy side. And so I know that if the music that I'm selecting, that I'm listening to, is more melancholy than not, then I know that's what kind of mood I'm in.
Yeah,
that's what music is so tight for me. Like working out, you would think that most of my music should be upbeat. It's all the music that I like, and a lot of it is melancholy. It's like, what is wrong with Eric?
Yeah.
No, that is funny though, because EJ always messes with me and a mutual friend of ours because I'm drawn to ballads. There's just, for me, and it is the emotion in it, because ballads are when singers really like usually express a lot of their emotions. I mean, not an oxymoron, but like Beyonce talked about the song "Emotions" when Destiny's Child did it, which was a remake from the Bee Gees. That she liked that song best on that particular album because you could hear their vocals. She said she felt like when they were singing, they was almost singing like they were running track. So you couldn't really make out, like, it was cute to listen to the fast stuff and you can bop to it, but you really couldn't always feel it. Yeah. Whereas the emotion, and I'm the same way, like I would be drawn to that stuff. Like I remember like when the Waiting to Exhale album came out, when the movie came out, I was going through a pretty rough time in my life, and I remember gravitating towards that album. And the majority of that album is very slow and melancholy, and it was this story about these women that had gone through all this, and it was in that music. And yeah, I mean, I definitely had to be very careful though, because as you just said, it was a thing of, okay, it could suck me in even further into some spaces that I might not be able to sometimes recover from.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like there is a track that I'm listening to now that I actually posted on Facebook maybe about 30 minutes ago. But that's called New Beginning. And it sounds melancholy, but if you listen to the words, it's actually an uplifting song. But it's so mellow that if you're not careful, you'll be thinking it's a depressing song. It's really not. It's really kind of my anthem right now. It's kind of what brings me out of this, funk that I'm in. So it kind of helps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of like those sort of mixed songs that are, I don't know, they're melancholy, but they're happy. I remember the first time, or sometimes it depends on your mood when you listen to it. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about one that got me. So I try to remember. It was the name of it was it At Last? Yeah. So like at first you think like this is a happy song, and it does sound happy at first, but then like when you listen to it, like it has this very like sort of melancholy feel to it in a way. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I know it's a lot of songs that are like that where it's ostensibly a happy song. Mm-hmm. The lyrics are happy, but it's not.
Stevie Wonder has a song called Another Star, and it is the most danceable song you ever hear, but it's about a breakup.
Right.
Someone who broke his heart in two, and he's just singing, and everybody's singing with him, and horns are going on, and it's like, you're killing me with this.
But I feel like I want to go twirl in the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna dance to this song anyway. Someone who will break my heart in two.
Yeah, so I'm kind of drawn to songs that have that juxtaposition of.
Yeah, me too. I am kind of. It's kind of a twisted thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and that kind of brought me.
Like I was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Mary documentary, My Life. Mm-hmm. I think you watched it like a week ago. What were your impressions of it?
I guess I'll start. I mean, I think it was well done. I mean, one, the fact that Quincy Jones produced it, I think says a lot.
Yeah.
Because I know that they worked together. Not like I would really love for him to do an album for her, because I think it would be amazing. But but just the fact that she talked about being in all of that pain. Mm-hmm. And really like being suicidal and wanting to end her life, and and if you as a fan, to most it looked like she was on top of the world. I mean, that album was a huge hit for her. She had her first successful album, and then this, and it was even bigger than her debut. And most artists, she survived the sophomore jinx.
Right, she did. Now that she survived, she thrived.
She survived it, which some artists don't. But then it became even bigger than her first album, and and I know for me, I resonated to it because, like we said, it had at that time, which was a good mix of, I felt like, the ups and the downs.
Yeah, it did.
But in going back and listening to it, I realized the amount of pain that she was in, and why I was drawn to it was because I could relate to what she was going through during that time without knowing, which I think was amazing, because she even talked about, like, I know, there were many a times when, like, people I knew, even like we just talked about, people being at low points and them saying like how the music lifted them up, that particular record, and it was, I think we as humans, we're drawn to anything that's honest.
Yeah.
Like honesty, I think really truly does draw people. And it was honest. Like with Whitney and some of those artists like that were not able to be truly who they were. But Mary talked about her drug use. She talked about growing up in the hood. Mm-hmm. She talked about all of these things that as a young gay man from Atlanta, I could relate to. You know, so to hear her talk about that, and even when she would get on stage, like literally when kids say now she owes me nothing, she literally owed you nothing, because she literally laid her soul out on the floor and bared her whole soul. You know, and people thought it was about the entertainment, but that was really what she was going through. So I thought it was great. I think it was a great homage to the album, which last year just turned 25, I think it is. So so I supported the reissue of the album just for that reason. Like, that was one of those records I probably have bought like 15 copies of that album over the years. You know, it's gotten scratched, it's gotten lost, somebody stole it. It was like, I don't care, I'm going to buy another one. So like, Mary's definitely made her money off of me.
No, it was one of those that got me to thinking how music can change over time as you are at a different point in your life. So I think when I first heard it, I wasn't really going through much, so I didn't really hear. I heard a bop, I heard, you know, good, interesting song. And, you know, it's just like, yeah, it's good. But yeah, now it just breaks you open a little bit. It can. For me, the idea of, I could feel in the music the wanting, I guess, wearing a mask, I guess, like you were saying, like she was probably going through that, where on the outside everyone just thought, you know, you're on top of the world, but inside you're going through turmoil, and you could feel it in the music. Even the happy songs were tinged with sadness, which I never noticed before. It just glossed over. Just even the romantic ballads were like, let's stop fussing and fighting so we can get to love it.
Right.
Like, I didn't even have to say that. Like, it was always some conflict was involved in every song at some level. I never really saw that before. And the documentary, I think, is a really, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people who are music heads already knew a lot of the stuff that was in there. I think that was, none of this was new information, but just having it all in one place and then going back and listening to it, something else. So now I get it. I don't know. I haven't been the type of person who connected with artists. I always connected with their music, you know what I mean? But now I kind of get the idea of connecting with an artist so you can get a deeper connection to the music, you know? Because I always, I guess, felt if I wanted to connect with an artist, maybe there would be nothing there. Like, I'm afraid that I'm going to ruin this good thing. Like, certain, I've always just assumed it was a show, you know, and a lot of music is, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm there for the illusion, but yeah, when there's something deeper behind it, I definitely like delving into the making of it, the psychology of it. Definitely if it's in a different time frame, or the production of it, the writing of it, and, you know, what they're going through when they produced it.
Hey, thank you for listening to the podcast thus far. And if you would like to become a greater part of the Male Media Mind community, just search for Male Media Mind on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There you'll find we have vibrant social media communities where I post things from like thirst traps. We also have live streams 4 times a week with 4 different hosts. If you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll be notified whenever we go live. And comment on our posts on social media, especially Instagram and Twitter. I think we have a growing community there where we discuss issues that end up in our broadcasts and our podcasts. So if you just want to be a part of the Male Media Mind community, subscribe, follow, tell your friends, comment on our posts, like our posts. We really appreciate everybody who participates. All right, now back to my conversation with Jeff and EJ.
Well, hold on. Let me go back to Mary. I have to say that I got into Mary on our first album because there was a particular track on there that made me walk around the block about 8 times and listen to it over and over and over again. And that had to be, I Can See Love No Limit.
Yes.
Because it was totally different from everything else that was going on during that time. It was all, you all heard all this hip hop, then you heard this one track. So I knew that she had something special. So when the second album came out of my life, I studied it and studied it and studied it and played it all the way through all the time. And so like you said, everything she had said on the documentary, I kind of already knew. I already knew about KC. I already knew about the drug habits because we had been studying her since then. And I thought that was when she came into her own, she became the spectacular individual that she is. She went through a lot of hell.
Yeah.
It was just that one album that she was talking about, but she kept going through hell all the way through. Through different marriages with different people, different lawsuits, things like that. And she managed to come through. I can't say unscathed. She got a lot burned.
Oh yeah.
It was a big thing. So that's what I kind of wanted to throw in. But yeah, I'm a Mary fan. Even though I don't have all of her stuff, the stuff that I do hear is really, really good. And and Jeff can allude to, stuff like The Love I Never Had.
Oh, yeah, we won't go. That was definitely evoked a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
But that's the thing Mary's always been able to do, I think, is relate to real pain and where real people were. And then, like you said, it was relatable. Because like you said, even like a song, the up-tempo stuff, like a song like Be Happy. Like you just said, a lot of people thought, ooh, it was up-tempo, it was fun. But that was a struggle going on there. Like she was talking to herself and saying, all I really want is to be happy. Like people say that and cry. Like, they'll scream that, they'll yell it, but she was singing it in this up-tempo song. So people was like, yay, let's dance. Where she was really screaming out from her pain, and I think it was interesting because I think that album showed where her life, because she is the queen of hip hop soul. And like we said, EJ said, the first album, because it was the first time we had heard the merging of those genres like that, R&B and hip hop in that way. She was the first artist to do that. But it also is how her life parallel very similar to Aretha Franklin. Like Aretha Franklin being the queen of soul and her being the queen of hip hop soul, and the fact that their life and that pain really paralleled very similarly.
Yeah. And she talked, I guess, in the documentary about how she idolized singers like Aretha, thinking about just imitating them, and like you can't do much better than Aretha. I mean, those are some good
Shaka was the big one for her.
Yeah,
I think Shaka was the first big one for her, and she talked about that.
Yeah, it was like Shaka. I think she might have said something about Anita Baker, maybe.
Anita Baker was big. That was her main go-to.
Yeah. Like I know she sung Rapture. I know she sung Aretha Franklin. I know she sung Shaka Khan's I'm Going Down. No, I'm sorry. That's not Shaka. That's
Rolls Royce.
That's Rolls Royce, yeah. But she sung a lot of those things that,
Yeah, with Shaka, it was the first album. It was a Sweet Thing.
Yeah,
which is ironic because Shaka talked about her like a dog.
I wasn't going to mention that. I was trying not to.
Oh, that's hilarious. Though. I didn't know that.
But she took it as spite. Like to imagine to sing somebody's song that you idolize, and they say, well, you did all right, but you fucked up my song. And then years later, her and Shaka, she has a Grammy with Shaka.
Yeah.
For this song Disrespectful they did like about 10 years ago. So, to come full circle like that, I think was possibly really amazing. But,
I think Shaka was just being Shaka.
Shaka's always been like that. Michelle, Shaka just did that to Ariana Grande. I remember that. She got a song with her.
I remember that.
Shaka is old, and she says that I'm old and I'm of a certain age. But Anita Baker was like Jay talked about, Love No Limit. That was written. That was Anita Baker. That was her ode to Anita Baker because Rapture was what got her her deal. She did a demo caught up in the Rapture at a mall kiosk, and the rest is history. So she absolutely idolizes Anita.
And the person that wrote it, God rest his soul, has passed on. But that was Kenny Green from Intro. But he's the one that taught her how to sing it too. But I digress.
Well, no, but I think that's important because, like we talk about being able to relate to that stuff. Kenny Green was a gay man, and he wrote a lot of that stuff. So she was singing, in essence, a lot of his words.
Exactly.
So those are his words. Was some of the relatability. I feel like we didn't know that, but
But now you come full circle and you see what happened.
Yeah. So I was wondering, like, are there any other artists who, I guess, you have evolved the meaning of their work over time after learning about the production of it. Right. Like it's a pop at first, but then it transforms in your mind after a period of time.
For me, some of Janet's stuff, especially the Velvet Rope, it was very personal. It was dark. Really? And I was drawn to that darkness and didn't understand it. Like, even though, like we said, it was up-tempo, but like, that's my go-to Janet Jackson album still.
Really?
Yeah, the Velvet Rope is still my go-to. I'm like, I love all of Janet's catalog, but the Velvet Rope, like, songs like I Get Lonely, like, I literally was just listening to that in my car. Together Again, when she talked about, it was up-tempo, but in Together Again, she talked about losing friends to AIDS and HIV. Yeah. The song You, which people thought, because she made the reference to Man in the Mirror, she was talking about Michael, and she was like, is he the only fucking man with a mirror? Like, the song was about me. Like, stop. I got a mirror too. So, but yeah, that album, I was drawn to that. Like, just the personal. It was because it was personal. It was relatable. Like, people sharing, like you said, most artists don't allow you to see that. And she was like, look, here I am, y'all. Like, I'm just as fucked up as y'all are.
Like I said, if you listen to the Rufus Chaka Khan album, the stuff that Rock Templeton wrote, said that the up-tempo was, can tell you a lot about stuff like there's like any love that you feel is real.
Right.
So she said
that
right. And it was just that stuff. And now that I go back and listen to the lyrics, I'm like, gee, this stuff was deep. She was crazy. Live in Me, I want to say, and Anita Baker. Anita Baker is always very important to me.
Definitely.
When she came out with the first one, I didn't hear, but the second one I heard first, and then went back to the first one. The first one was really, it'll get you, but that second one everybody can relate to because she had more say so in the album, and so she did much more than she wanted to do. But so the first two Anita Baker albums are classics.
Absolutely.
Earth, Wind & Fire will tell you that most of their songs were depressing songs, and they may have been up tempo, but if you read the lyrics, you'll realize that there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of thing in the background that they just interweave in there, and you don't realize it's there. I'm trying to remember the song that is about Boogie Wonderland, which everybody thinks is a disco tune, is actually about drugs. That's what Boogie Wonderland really stands for. And when I found that out from the person that wrote it, she said it in the podcast, these are what the lyrics really mean.
Yeah, the fact that was co-written by a white woman, I thought was very interesting.
Yes. And I heard the stuff that she wrote, and she was like, she will tell you that if you break it down, I'm here to teach you as a white woman what's going on.
Right.
So I got a lot.
Like today is Phyllis Hyman's birthday.
Yeah.
She was another artist that was, to me, so underappreciated. And yet again, I was drawn to her voice at a young age, not knowing, like her, Patti LaBelle, Jennifer Holliday, the ones that at one point, and I know in our lives, they were the Beyoncés of our generation. They were the divas. You know what I mean, EJ. Like, because like I said, it was like the I'm Every Woman thing early with Chaka Khan.
Pay my automobiles,
with Chaka, Stephanie Mills. Like when Patti LaBelle sang Over the Rainbow, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was from The Wizard of Oz at the time because it didn't sound the same.
Right.
But I also didn't know that it was like a gay thing. So when I became a teenager and kind of became out, and it was like, well, wow, these men dressing up like Patti LaBelle singing this song. Like I remember my first time in a gay club and seeing a drag queen do, and they would do like the kids now do Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. They would do Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills and Gladys Knight was another one. These women, they sang and put their hearts out. But I think younger wise, like I think of a younger artist. If I had to say somebody like Brandy.
Yeah, Brandy was. Her albums were good. And they really painted a big picture when she first came out with the first couple of albums. That's when I know when someone, with the first couple of albums has established themselves, that's when you know that, they've got chops. And Brandy was one of those albums that I shouldn't have been listening to, but I did. I really liked it. And that's what I appreciated her for. So I was like, listen to this album. What's wrong with me? But
well, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember when you were talking about Waiting to Exhale, I believe she was on that album. And I remember I was like,
sitting up in my room.
Yeah, I remember that. And that was my introduction to her, was through the Waiting to Exhale album. And I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was on the back of her first album. And a lot of people, that was their introduction, because Waiting to Exhale was pop, whereas Brandy had been very R&B. It did give her a larger appeal. And like you said, relating to, because she was so young, at first I couldn't relate to her. But now, I mean, me and EJ have a mutual friend that was actually one of her songwriters that I know I've met now as an adult, and to listen to him talk about like the fact that I Want to Be Down was written for somebody else, and they asked him to demo it. Like, it was written for Vanessa Williams, and they asked him to demo it with her, and it became this huge hit that nobody saw coming.
As a side, you mentioned Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams turned out a lot of records that actually, had other people become stars, because I think she turned out some of Janet's early songs that became really big pop hits. And I don't know if she's kicking herself, but Patti LaBelle often says that she's turned down a lot, that when she hears somebody else sing them and they sell millions of copies, she's like kicking herself.
She heard that word and she felt like a penny waiting for change.
Right.
When she said that, I died, because that was like, I could vividly visualize that, because Patti turned down I Feel Good All Over by Stephanie Mills, as well as Nobody's Supposed to Be Here by Deborah Cox, which was huge. So imagine if Patti had sang that and not Deborah. Deborah probably wouldn't have the career she has now if Patti hadn't turned down that song. Right. But like we talked about Mary turned down Umbrella by Rihanna. So the backstories of this stuff becomes interesting in itself when you see how they interwebs, like, oh, well, I wrote this for so-and-so, but somebody else took it and, for a songwriter, reinterpreted it and made it more than what the original person that they thought about when maybe the songwriter was writing it. I think those kind of stories have also helped me relate better to the music that I listen to.
Yeah. I remember, I think one that got me was, I think, in the Tina documentary.
What's Love Got to Do with It, or is it?
Yeah.
It's one of those.
So when I saw that version of it, I just fucking died laughing. It was this little Canadian pop man was singing. It was their song apparently, and or it was originally for them.
They made it very bubblegumish, and Tina took it and added. And I think for me that was always the relatable thing, because like you said, same words, but it's that you inflect. And like we talked about, like you said, the Tina documentary was another example of that. Like, Proud Mary was a remake, and Tina took that and ran with it. Respect by Aretha Franklin, another remake. That was Otis Redding.
Yeah, Otis Redding.
Yeah. But Aretha was good for taking like Aretha could take somebody's song and completely reinterpret it. Like, even Stevie was like, Until You Come Back to Me, which is one of my favorite Aretha Franklin songs, was Stevie's song originally.
That was Stevie's song.
Right.
And Stevie's like, oh, well, I'm singing this too, but since I heard that, I can't sing it no more.
Right.
He said that he's like, I'm not even going to try to release this.
Yeah. I think I remember one Aretha covered, and I want to say I can't remember, but I like her version of it is so far superior than the original.
And she did that throughout her career, because like even watching like Pose, they played her version of Deeper Love. That was a remake.
That was it. That was a remake.
And she killed it. It was a club, like Aretha singing house music. Who would have ever thought? And she killed it.
And I can't remember. I remember hearing the original version, but I can't remember who did it. But
the original version was done by CNC Music Factory.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, before then the guy, and like even that, like like guy, what's his name, David Cole, before he passed away, like David Cole wrote for Mariah Carey and produced for her. But like it's all very intertwined, But just like how people take can differently interpret a song, is amazing, because like you said, a pop group can make it the same song that I cry to, very bubbly and popish, and because like there's a song by Stevie Wonder called Sunny that they use a white version in one of these commercials that's on now, and I'd be like, huh? Like that can't be the same song.
Oh goodness.
I hope you're enjoying this conversation with Jeff and EJ. And if you'd like to support Male Media Mind, we do have an Amazon affiliate program where we're reading books every month and inviting our audience to join along with us. If you purchase the book using the affiliate link, we'll get a small commission and you'll show your support for our content without any extra cost to you. And I think the act of reading books together has really been a deeper form of community building that we can do online. And I really appreciate everybody who's done that. So far, we're on our 4th book now. We're reading The Velvet Rage last month, and this month we're reading The Source of Self-Regard, and want to invite you to read both of those books with us and let us know what you think. Again, back to our conversation with Jeff and EJ. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about, I guess, music during COVID. Like during the pandemic, I guess a lot of artists had basically a lot of time on their hands. Were making a lot of. At the same time, an audience able to see them. So I want to talk about both of those: the importance of live music and what came out of this time period recently that you maybe not have come up because of just the fact that they couldn't be on tour. I guess that's part of it. Having to be on tour like 30 weeks out of the year probably cuts into recording time. So I'm sure some artists just had time to lay down some tracks.
Not only did they lay down some tracks, they made some albums. They made EPs and they made albums, and it was a lot of stuff. And I know that my music, my money, since I couldn't use it on anything else, since I was always stuck in the house, was always going to be toward music. So yeah. I had tons of things going on there. I think that's what was the most important part, because COVID kept me stuck in the house. But music was the only salvation that I really had. Because anyway, I would rampage in the streets and things like that.
We didn't need you rampage in the streets.
yeah. And so
an artist that I know me and EJ both follow is a guy named Eric Roberson, who is like one of the best independent male artists around. And I follow a young lady here named Avery Sunshine, who's amazing. And their friend, and she talked on one of her podcasts about that. Like they had been talking, and he said, "You do realize we will never have this opportunity as artists, where, like you said, we're not touring, we're not on the road, we don't have to do this, that, or the other. Like we can just create." And literally, that was the one I feel somewhat positive aspect of COVID. Like, and I don't think any other generation will not. I mean, unless maybe hundreds of years down the road, if another crazy pandemic comes up. But just the fact that for the first time the world stood still and people really just had and out of that frustration and pain and all that stuff, that whole tortured artist kind of thing, there was a lot of creation that went on, and people really wanted to, I think, vent and frustrate that. And like EJ said, it also did help me cope. Like, because I like everybody was talking about, how they were binge watching stuff, whatever. I was listening to music. Like, there's shows I still haven't watched that a lot of people have, but I literally, because that was my solace, because, it was familiar, and I could really go, like you said, I went back to some really old stuff, but I also did find some new stuff. That was really, like I told you, Malcolm, some of your stuff you found on TikTok. I was like, who is that?
I know, right?
Because Malcolm started posting. I was like, when did Malcolm start posting music?
Right. Yeah, no, mine came from Spotify. So strangely enough, I think, I was playing a lot of video games during the pandemic, and, PlayStation had, integrated Spotify. And so I switched from Apple to Spotify. And now I just love the algorithm. So one of the things I'll do, like it really customizes your radio stations based on your previous thing. So like the other day, I just made like a Jill Scott radio station, and it'll make maybe 1 out of every 10 songs will be a Jill Scott song, but the artists all are influenced by Jill Scott. You can tell like the music. So you're finding all these things that are relatable to her, but aren't her, and they're definitely tailored to your previous listens, and it's just, wow, it's fucking great. So I've been exploring a lot of music that way. They also just have daily recommendation playlists, and then sometimes I'll just do my like top 25 like just go through the rotation and listen to my favorites. But yeah, it's been a great way of finding music. So I think one album that dropped for me during the pandemic was, I think it was Black Thought. He dropped an album in, I want to say, was it October, or I think it was before the new year. I'm not sure, but yeah, like I've listened to several tracks on there that was just like, I listened to it 20 times and hear something new each time and just be in a different mood. And it's always been good for me. I think I maybe listened to Common for the first time. Like
Really?
Never really got into his stuff because I almost felt like when I'm expecting hip hop, I'm expecting like this hard beat, this thump, and his is more like spoken word.
Right.
It is. Common is very musical, and because of that, like I realized even in my hip hop, like there was still very universal elements to what I listened to, and for me, it's live music. Like if you use live music, I'm probably going to be drawn, which is like you talked about Jill Scott and artists like that. You know, being drawn to artists that use that same, you know, Erykah Badu, that, you know, that same kind of thing. And then also, you know, the thing out of the pandemic too that came out of was the verses stuff.
Yeah.
Because that really did make a lot of people reconnect to a lot of those artists too. You know, just the idea of like the two artists sitting down during that time and going blow for blow for hit. And you was like, oh, you know, and sometimes, you know, they played Little Surprise. I know with Erykah Badu and Jill Scott's, they threw some stuff that people had never heard. So
right. And that's the important thing. When you throw stuff that people have never heard, that's when it gets really, really good.
Yeah.
Because y'all were both, because I know you and EJ both were Spotify people. I'm not.
Yeah.
So, and EJ will do the same thing to me. He'll be like, Spotify recommended this artist. And he'll be like, and he'll send it to me, and we send each other tracks though. Like as music heads, it's literally like, I heard something, I'll send it. You know, you go and you send it to him, and what did you think? You know, and then we sit around and talk about it.
And we say, let them know what you think, which really means you better listen to this right now, and you better tell me as soon as you can what this means. You know, you have exactly 10 minutes. You know?
Right. And if you don't get a response back, you didn't listen to the track, did you?
Right. What's wrong with you? I know you are.
I accept this. I'm gonna blow up your phone, literally.
Right. Have you heard it yet?
But like you were saying, like, because even like with me and EJ, like even the aspect of live music, just as much as the recordings are, the live music was even more important. And I do absolutely miss that. Like, and it literally, that was, I think, for me, probably the hardest part of the pandemic, because I had like, you know, Jill Scott was coming to town and Janet was getting ready to go on tour and was really excited. And then boom, the world shut down. And it was like, what?
Right.
No concert?
Right. And that's when I was prepared to go out, you know, and venture around DC where I'm at and actually go out and do things, more things. And for a whole year, you couldn't do anything because everything was canceled. So it was crazy.
Yeah. But I guess things are coming back now, right? I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, like smaller venues, I know are definitely like city cafes. City wineries, not city cafes.
City wineries,
City wineries, which are all over. Like Shantae Moore played Atlanta last week, and they have like a whole roster of people that are now coming. But there's I think the collective experience of experiencing music together, because like even me and EJ was a very much a part of how we socialized. Right. I mean, like me and EJ, hell, we went all the way to London to see somebody live.
Yeah.
You know, back in 2017. So no, that was 2016. I'm sorry.
2016.
But, you know, 2016, we went all the way to London to see a group that we both loved, and it was like, you know, that was the one time I ever seen EJ Flavors look like a kid in a candy store. But
exactly. And I even lost some friends. They're like, "How dare you go all the way to London when you know?" And I'm like, "That's cool, kind of who I am, you know."
That was funny because I said EJ always looks so mean, but the artist we went to see, he followed and communicated with online, and she recognized him in the audience as we're sitting there, and he lit up like a Christmas tree. It takes our friend Mr. Wilson Sam over in London to talk about that because he was with us.
And she would call me Age, and they're like, "Yeah, you look like you about to pass out," and I was.
That's pretty good. That's great. Yeah, no, I am. I'm looking forward to doing some live music myself. I haven't really done much, and it is, yeah, it is something I'm looking forward to. So,
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about it though, because I'm not there yet. Yeah, about COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are still there because, like they say, especially where we live at here in the South, a lot of these states are making it where, I mean, I get the idea of vaccine passports being somewhat can be discriminatory, but, it's kind of like that idea too, like we've talked about before on our show, you can't go to public schools without being vaccinated and have proof of it.
Right.
So I don't see what the big deal is in that sense, but yeah, I'm excited. Like I'm trying to think. Somebody's coming to town in a couple of weeks, and I was like, I really want to go. And she's because it's at the City Winery, though. It's a smaller venue, and also I have to be honest. It also depends kind of on the artist because of certain artists draw certain crowds.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people that I'm probably going to see are kind of probably most of the people that are going to come are going to look mostly like me. And I know for the most part, most of us are going to be in line because we truly have taken this pandemic seriously, whereas some other groups might not have. So,
right.
But
I don't know if I want to go see Janet just yet, even though I love her.
Just because of the size of the crowd. I mean,
just because of the size, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I get that. I never thought of it that way, but like I think I'm going to see Raheem Devon or no Devon.
Raheem Devon.
Yeah, Raheem. Yeah, like he's coming here next week, so I'll be going. And
I think you should be okay with that one.
Yeah. He puts on a good show. I think you'll enjoy it.
He's good, but not a lot of people are going to be seen.
No. Yeah. I mean, this is Albany. It's
right.
But at the same time, it's like it's going to probably be the venue itself will probably be packed. I don't know. We'll see. And I guess that's just a general nerves thing. I guess got to get through. But I'm looking forward to getting some live music and just like finding new artists. So I think that'd be a good question. If you're not using Spotify to find new artists, how are you finding people? I guess through the grapevine or the nerdvine.
Mine is through word of mouth and mine through word of mouth and through Facebook about people.
Yeah.
Being a podcaster and having to find really great tracks. Now I have people like Jeff say, you need to listen to this because you never heard this before. And when you hear it, you're going to put it on your podcast. Aren't you? And it's good. It's good because that gets me to in certain music that you listen to on Spotify, I may check out if I see it scrolled on the right-hand side because Malcolm yours scrolls on the right-hand side all the time. Spotify kind of lets you do that. And so I'm like, I don't know what this song is. I go, interesting.
Social media for me has been definitely a big way that I find because IG, I know, and I'm not sure how they do the algorithms, but I know I get recommendations for artists sometimes that I don't know, and I'll go in there and check them out. I have Apple Music, so I'll go, like you said, I'll go in and download an album or a song and listen to it. But I listen to also like Sirius XM. They have a station called Heart and Soul, which is geared more towards an older crowd. So they play a lot of the older stuff, mid 90s, late 80s, that kind of stuff. But they also, I think, are really good about playing a lot of independent artists that didn't get played on mainstream radio. So I found quite a few artists that way too, because they'll go and they'll pump sometimes really artists that just don't have a big name. They'll interview them because I discovered there's an artist called Mahalia who is out of the UK. And whereas Ellie Mae was huge and she was from the UK, this girl is just as talented, and I would not have ever heard of her.
She's very good.
Yeah, so but her stuff is and like that you said, like artists like her really, I think, had a really wonderful presence in social media, and also like because she did the song, like the Black Lives Matter stuff, that created a lot of music and energy, which happened also during the pandemic. I think that was important. And like she that the movies that came out and her supporting that movie, she won an Oscar. For that. So, and I mean, she just released her first album, like official album, like two, 3. No, when I went to DC, so about 3 weeks ago now. But
wow.
But yeah. So, but I think that I think it's word of mouth. It's definitely, and now back now to where we can go into stores, because like me and EJ and some of our friends, that was a thing. Like one Sunday out the month, we went to the record store and literally just hung out. Like, let me go in and pick something up. Like, we sitting in there having conversations. We talking to, because we know the owner of the shop. We're talking to the owner. He's playing music. Like, who is that and what is that? So those interactions matter, and they help. And for me, my biggest fear is, because of now this Delta variant and what's going on, that the lockdowns are going to occur again, and that type of we won't be able to then get back to experiencing live music again.
Right. Well, just cross your fingers. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But yeah, it's a fear.
Right. Yeah. And I hate to go on to that. I don't want to get off on that tangent, but because that's so impressive. But yeah, no, I think we'll probably talk about that on the live streams when we get on.
Well, like you said, it's a valid conversation, because like they said, like a lot of like we talked about movies a lot. A lot of actors legitimately didn't work during COVID. The same thing happened with a lot of musicians. Like, economically, like they said, the people that put the stage up and the sound equipment, all those people were out of work now. So what COVID did, impact the industry. So now that this back up, like, are those people coming back to work? Like, like what's going to happen in the future? So, and I'm also like concerned about cost as a consumer, because now if you have to have higher overhead to produce a show, that means a higher overhead as far as ticket prices.
Right. Yeah. I imagine that a lot of people, like, rehiring is a little bit of a lag, so all those people didn't, sit at home. They probably got different jobs. So,
right.
You have to rehire and retrain new people, probably. And
that's a big issue too, even from the standpoint of the artist, because like Anita Baker said, you have sound, like, to find a sound engineer that could actually put a real mic on a drum set was hard already. Because so many people was only using like the boxes and the boards. Like, if you're an artist that uses live music, you needed a certain engineer, and they were few and far between.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting, because a lot of people probably definitely, I would say, depended on that sort of digital box. Like you were saying, the canned sounds that came up with. Because I thought it from the sound design for this video game that I play, and I remember they went into they had like posting on social media of people making different sounds for weapons in a game. And so there's this one that someone like used a breast pump, and it was like, and so now I can't unhear it, like whenever it's like, yeah, people in the game say, okay, pull out your breast pumps. It's like a chainsaw. But it's
I
like
hear a gun, but what I visualize is a breast pump.
They took a breast pump and they just lowered it so that the bass was down. So but people innovated, I think. I guess that's the part where maybe there's some hope, is that people do find a way, despite everything. The Delta variant is probably, it's on its way. We'll find a way past that too, probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get beyond it. And I think, like we said, the thing I've always said about COVID, which I appreciate about artists, was it was a time for reinvention. And a lot of artists were able to find ways to use, social media, Zoom, and these other things to still stay engaged and stay connected and to keep their art out there. So, like you said, that keeps me encouraged, because music is healing. I think that's the biggest thing, is that music, and that's why music therapy is real. Like, music can be healing and reforming, and like it's cleansing and a lot of other things. So, it's an important part. I know, and especially as people of color, it's a really big part of our culture. Another time we can talk about, there's another documentary on Hulu now that Questlove did. It's called Summer of Soul, which is about a big concert that happened back in the 60s or 70s, where you had like your Nina Simone's and all these Black Power kind of artists, Gladys Knight, and just whatever, they all got together in Harlem on one weekend and performed, and they videoed it, and it's never been seen until now. but you know, just about how that informed the civil rights movement and, you know, the anti-war protests. And I think with, like we talked about, her, the artists now are also tapping into that same kind of, you know, George Floyd and, you know, movies like Judas and the Black Messiah, like, you know, really tapping into that same kind of energy.
That's a good one. And actually on Netflix, I was watching before I jumped onto this one. There's something called This Is Pop, where these artists that some are country, some are like Boyz II Men are the first artists that are talking about their career to start off with. But I think there's a whole.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, and it's on Netflix now, and so I'll be watching that until I fall asleep. Which is
sounds like a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating, and tell your friends about the show. It really helps us grow our reach. So again, we'll see you next episode. Thank you for listening.